Alright, if you guys have ever seen any of my videos, especially tearing up and setting down, you'll know I'm a huge fan of the Doyles gear hoist. I just hate bow ropes. They're a pain in the ass. I just hate dealing with them. So this is a brand new Doyles gear hoist I just got in the mail. I'm headed to Missouri in a couple weeks and going to be running a couple different saddles, so I'm just going to set them all up with new Doyles gear hoist on them. I still have my old one, still runs just fine. But I know I've never done a review on these, so that's exactly what this is going to be. It's going to be an initial setup and review of the Doyles gear hoist. So when I get a Doyles gear hoist in, I just got this one in yesterday, what am I going to do to it? So one of the first things I'm going to do to it is I'm going to make it to where the clip will fit on the saddle. So when you get the clips are 1.25 inches wide, and you need to take them down to around 1 inch, preferably under 1 inch. So I'm going to take this one down to 7/8 of an inch wide on the back side here, so it'll go on the saddle a lot easier. Obviously, how am I going to do that? Inside of the clip, there's a small hole, and there's a Phillips head screw in there. Just take your screwdriver, remove the clip, and the clip comes off. And this way, I'm going to be able to grind down with a Dremel tool the shape of this clip that I need. I'll be able to test fit it on and off there to make sure that it'll go on and off really easy before I go ahead and mount this back onto the Doyles. And then once I get it ground down, I'm actually going to take a file or some sandpaper and I'm going to round that cut edge so that I don't have sharp edge running up and against the webbing. So I'll go ahead and grind this down, show you what it looks like after it's done, and then I'll continue with what I do to my Doyles gear hoist. Alright, so now we've got the clip ground down to a size that will at least fit on a saddle. So once I have the clip ground down, now you need to decide how you're going to put this on your saddle. If you're going to put it on the back, you can have this where it comes straight down. You can rotate it, have it pull off this side. So if you're right-handed, maybe pulling off with your right hand. You can have it upside down. If you clip it like on the top of a backpack or something, you can reach back and pull it over your head. Or for the lefties, you can have it where you can attach it to the left side. So it's kind of all dependent on how you want to attach this and where you want to attach this to on a saddle, basically. Typically, I run it straight down. It's the way it came, so it's kind of the way I'm used to it running. So I'll go ahead and I'll put my clip back on here. Now, once I have my clip on here, theoretically I can hunt with this. I go one step farther. I do a couple things to mine that most people don't do. And it's because I try to take a lot of information from what type of trees I hunt and where I hunt. So one of the things I want to know is I want to know the diameter of the tree that I'm hunting, and especially how high that is. So I actually take and I measure out the circumference. So the circumference this would be the circumference of the Doyles gear hoist, whereas the diameter would be the distance across. So with a little bit of basic math, obviously the diameter times 3.14 would give you the circumference. The circumference divided by 3.14 is going to give you the diameter. So again, this is kind of rough. I don't have to be precise. I know that for me, most of the time I hunt trees between 6 and 20 inches in diameter. So taking that, running some math, I know that 6 inches in diameter is going to be 19 inches circumference. So what I do is I always measure from the back of the plastic part of the Doyles gear hoist here, and I'm going to measure out 19 inches. So we can see right there is 19 inches. I use a metallic Sharpie, and I'm going to make a mark right here. And I'll come back and I'll make these marks go all the way across. For the most part, you can go every 3 inches is 1 inch. So I'll go 19, I'll go 22. That's the difference between 6 and 7. So 22, 25, 28, 31, I'll line my 28 back up, 31, I don't even know what I'm to now, 34, and again, these don't have to be exactly precise, they're just rough estimates, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my tape measure back in. This is my 19, you can see it there. I'll go ahead and I'll mark that all the way across, and I'm going to write 6 above it. So that's 6 inches in diameter. So when I'm up on the tree, once I'm hunting, easy now, I'll take this, I'll wrap it around the tree, I will hook it back to here, and then that way when I hit 6 inches, it will be sticking out the end of the plastic right there. And then 7, 8, and I'll do all that all the way up to 20 inches in diameter. So that way I know the size of the tree. The same thing, I do the same thing for this for hunting height. I will go out and I will mark, and again I'll mark from the back of this. See if I can do this on camera. Probably not. I typically start at 10 feet. So I'm going to go all the way to 10 feet. There's 8, there's 9, there's 10 feet. So again, at 10 feet, I'll make a mark. I will do this from 10 feet all the way up to 35 feet. I'll do full length marks every 5 feet, and then I will do like half length across the tape at every foot basically. So now when I get to 11 feet, I'll only make half of a mark across the tape. Sorry, I got that Sharpie lid in my mouth. I'll do this at every foot, and then again when I get to 5 foot, it'll be a full length mark all the way across. And again, I will write on there what height it is. And that way when I go to either pull up my bow first thing in the morning or let down my bow in the morning when I get down, I will be able to know how high I am up the tree. And this is just data that I use. Sorry, I'm rolling up the tape measure. This is just data that I use for my personal needs. You hear a lot of people talk about they hunt, 25 feet up. Well, if you probably look at this, they're probably only 18 feet. Most people exaggerate how high they hunt. That's why I do this, is so I can tell exactly how high I hunt and exactly what size diameter tree I hunt out of. And that gives me a better idea of what size tree I can look for, how high I need to look, depending on the area. So this is typically how I set up my Doyles hunting hoist before it even goes on the saddle. Simply now I can put it on the saddle, I can clip it to a pack, I can do whatever I need. Alright, so now we've got our new Doyles hoist set up just like similar to our old Doyles hoist. They've both been trimmed down. They have the diameter markings on them, and then they have the feet markers on them every foot. That's 15 foot there, and then every foot's a half marker. So they're all set up exactly the same now. Now I'm going to kind of go over why I really like the Doyles gear hoist. I really hate just typical bow ropes. They get tangled up. Yeah, you can do the whole figure 8 around your hand. Then you got to stick it in a pocket. It gets tangled. Things get wrapped up in it. That's what I hate the most about them. That's what led me to the Doyles gear hoist. I actually had a roommate in college who turned me onto these, 13 years ago. Ouch, I'm old. But anyways, that's what turned me onto these, was just the ability to, just loop whatever around this. I like their little end design here. It's kind of nifty. The webbing runs through one side, and then it's actually girth hitched around the end. The end will actually come up. See if I can do this where you guys can see it go through the end of the plastic, and then when it's pulled down, it's pulled tight. And then obviously as it retracts, it will be basically a slip knot to where it tightens down on things. Really like that. It's pretty interesting. I did see one situation. It wasn't me. The guy was hunting next to me, not to mention names, Wilson, who put this through there, thought they had actually had a hold of this, and then grabbed their bow and was about to lower their bow down, and this came out and fell open. And luckily they were holding their bow, looking down like, oh, that could have been bad. So when you loop this, like everything else, you want to make sure that this, once you have it, make sure this is tight and attached to whatever you're about to lower down or pull up before you pull up or lower it down. Otherwise, you're going to drop it. Outside of the self-retracting, as I go up or come down, whatever's on the ground, the webbing follows me up the tree. So if I weave a path through limbs as I go up, that's the way my rope goes up. And then when I lower it down, I kind of have to do the same thing. I've got to kind of, if I got to go around a branch, I'll get my bow down there and I'll get my bow swinging. And as soon as my bow gets around that branch, then I'll lower down rope more, or more webbing, to keep it, the way I'm going to go down. It really doesn't matter as long as it's not 30 feet total around. You can lower it down however you want. That's the thing. They do max out at 30 feet, 31 actually, but 30 feet's the max. I like the webbing version. They do make a rope version of this as well. the rope is too small and it's too hard to hold on to with your hands, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to burn your hand letting your stuff down quickly, and then you're just going to let go. It's obviously going to all go crashing to the ground. And then it's just really hard to hold on to control, to let down. So what I like about the webbing is I will put it between my index finger and my thumb and use that as a brake as I let it down. So as it goes down, I'll pinch it. If I want it to stop, I'll just let it loose and let it slide as I want the stuff to go down. They do have a little noise to them, as you can probably hear. That's nothing to me. My whole philosophy when I get to a tree is I want to get to the tree and up the tree as quickly as possible. Yeah, there's people that want to sneak in and take 35 minutes to get to the tree, the last 50, 60 yards. I have a squirrel mentality. You ever watch a squirrel in the woods? He runs over, he gets to the tree, and he gets up the tree pretty quick. He doesn't typically linger around the bottom of the tree or take his time getting the tree. He hops in there, gets up the tree, and gets up the tree. It's kind of the mentality I have, if you want to put it in animal terms. I have a squirrel brain. So that's my philosophy. This thing helps me because once I get to the tree, I can whip this thing out through my bow, around my jacket, hook it up, and then start going up the tree with my sticks. I'm not having to unwind my bow rope and lay it out so that it doesn't get tangled on anything. As soon as this is hooked up, it's as far as it's going to be, and as I climb, it goes up with me, so it doesn't get tangled up nowhere near as often. That's the biggest thing that obviously pushed me towards these. They're durable. I have not had any issues. You can see this one has been beat to heck. Pretty large gouges in it. They are heavy. They weigh in at 11 ounces, just a hair over 11 ounces. I think they are 5 inches across and about 1.25 inches, inch and a half thick. Probably 1.5 inches thick would be my guess. So they're a little big and bulky. For me, that's well worth the trade-off than having to deal with a bow rope. I can't tell you the number of bow ropes that are probably laying in the woods of Arkansas and Missouri because I just got so frustrated because they were tied in a knot or whatever that I just chucked them. Said the heck with it, I'll carry it up or I'll do something different. Haven't had that issue with these. I still have, like I said, this is my original one since 2000 and holy cow, I don't even know now. Probably 2007, maybe 2008. That's another thing. If you're not paying attention, they will make some noise. I've seen some guys put stealth strips along the bottom of these where the plastic doesn't make noise. Noise isn't a huge factor to me. I really don't care about the noise that much. Only a deer that's within 80 yards is going to have heard that. 10 minutes later, that deer is never going to know that noise was made. So that's my philosophy behind it. Again, highly recommend them. If you're interested in them, pick them up. I have the how to attach them, everything with this. So everything you need to know about the Doyles gear hoist right here. Thanks, guys.